Hello, friend, and welcome. My name is Betty Franks, and I am super happy you're here. We are working today on a 40 by 60 inch. This is on Blick Premier canvas, which is I love Blick's canvases because they are super sturdy. The wood is really sturdy wood, and then the canvas is the thicker canvas. So super pleased with their products. This piece here is a commission. I know, crazy, right? I've been doing commissions lately after I said, I think 2 years ago, that I said I don't want to do any more commissions. And then I slowly kind of started doing them again. Been trying to find a way to do them that works best for me. And that's always been the challenge for me, trying to get into that comfortable spot where I can create freely, yet also meet the expectations of the client. And when I say expectations, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a very positive way, which is, I want them to look at it and be like, wow, I love it. And so, that's always going through my head when I'm creating art for a specific person, as opposed to, just creating a piece that is going to be available after I'm done. So anyway, this piece is one of those pieces. It is going to hang in a dining room above a fireplace. So really cool spot. It's flanked with two windows on each side that you can see the greenery outside. So perfect location to add some splash of color because the room is very white right now. Doesn't have a whole lot of um, color or decorations or anything like that going on just yet. So this is kind of like their first piece to help bring in some color. And instead of saying their first piece, I should say his first piece because I'm working with a gentleman by the name of Dave. And he is local. So he found me on a Google search. He was looking for abstract art, wasn't seeing anything that he liked out there. And so he just did a Google search of abstract art San Jose. And sure enough, here I am. I popped up. And he looked at my work and he fell in love with it and was very excited. So this is actually the third piece I am creating for him. I already created two 6 foot by 6 foot, so 72 inches by 72 inches. Two of them that are hanging in his entry, and I still need to do the video for that. I was looking at all of the videos that I have for that one, and I want to say that there are like 20 of them that I've got to stitch together and probably speed up. This one clearly is sped up also because this was over 3.5 hours of me creating. So I really wanted to bring it down, but yet, you could still see what I'm doing here. If you really want to see my slowed down videos, I do have those as well. Okay, let me go back and talk a little bit about my process here. So I started off with some mark making, just using different pencils and crayons to make marks. And then I came in with black because I really like to come in with a dark color. Now the black has a lot of other colors in it. It's not just pure black. I keep it in a container where I just throw in blues and reds and greens and different colors just so I can deepen that black color. And now I'm coming in with what I call my warm colors. So I'm going to be using reds and pinks and oranges, and then yellow I use for both my warm and my cool colors. What I taped up on the wall over there is he saw a piece that he really liked, but it was actually the other way. So I taped it up sideways. I printed it. I had to do two prints of it, and I taped them together and I put it up there just as my inspiration. It's not going to look exactly like that in the end, but it gives me kind of a guide of some of the larger elements that I want to add to this piece. Here I'm multitasking. I am drawing while I am scratching into the wet paint as it dries. I like to do that early on just to start adding some texture to a piece of art. Here I'm using a rigger, which is a very fine brush. I love it because I can make thin lines and circles like I'm doing here. In these early stages, I'm just putting down all kinds of marks, not thinking too much about, where the color is going to be, where I want it to be. I just want to start building it up. We'll go through several layers here. And this one, as I always do with commissioned artwork, I really struggled with it, trying to pull it together, and you'll see that towards the end. But early on, I try not to think too much. It's more about just doing, 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 so that I have a nice buildup of different colors and marks, excuse me, and marks happening, so that I have more to work with when I'm, in the middle stages and pulling out of the middle stages and going towards the end stages. I find that if I don't have enough marks happening at this point or at this stage, then it makes it very difficult later on for me. I clearly have a process, and this is my process. Now, recently I did a video interview live with Andrea Garvey. I don't know if you guys know Andrea. She doesn't live far from me. She is in Santa Cruz. I'm in San Jose, California. She's just outside of Santa Cruz, actually. She's in Aptos. And I went over there for the day just to hang out with her. We like to get together every few months to talk art, to talk business, mostly to talk business. And this time I drove out to her place and finally got to see her fantastic studio. It's just gorgeous, and her home is gorgeous. It's got a view of the Pacific Ocean, which is just so beautiful. And I spent several hours with her. It was wonderful. We walked down to the water, walked back. Walking down was easy, it was all downhill. Walking back was a little bit more challenging, but I definitely got my workout in for the day. So then that afternoon, we did a couple of live shows. One is with a paid group that she has, and we spent about 20 minutes, half hour with them, and we were just chatting about art and running an art business, because that group is specific for running an art business. So I answered some questions there and got to share my experiences with being an artist and running an art business. And then a little bit later, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, she does a live every day, and she does that at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And so I was able to join her this time. And again, it was like 20 minutes, half hour. But this time we talked about art and creating art, and that was a lot of fun. So if you would like to get a link to the video on how to, or on that particular interview that I did with her, I'm going to link it up above here. But if you don't see it up above here, I'm not sure if I can link people's videos in my own video. I'll soon find out. But if you don't see it up above here, I will have it below the video. Even if it's linked up here, I'll have it below the video, or just leave the word bloom, BLOOM, and I will know that you want the link to that video. Again, it's like a half hour and we're just chatting about creating art. It was so much fun. Always great to see her. And I know I've talked about this before, but the whole, having your own tribe, having your own people who understand you as an artist and understand the struggles of being a selling artist. Now, I know all of you don't want to sell your art, and that's okay. But some of you who follow me do like to sell your art and want to sell more of it. So it's it's always a struggle when you're not surrounded by people in your own community who really get you, who really understand your struggles with creating art and trying to make a business creating art and selling art. I'm kind of stuttering here because I'm watching what I'm doing. What I was doing is enlarging those larger blue because they just were not large enough, appropriately large compared to the size of the canvas. So I had to, work on making those a little bit larger. Okay, so anyway, would love for you to check out that video that I did with Andrea. So much fun. She's always so great to hang out with. All right, I'm just moving right along. And as I said, I did speed up this video because otherwise it would have been way too long. If you really want to see a more slowed down version of me creating, I have lately been doing these 10-minute videos where I am creating for 10 minutes. Actually, the videos are not 10 minutes long. They're longer than 10 minutes, but I set a timer for 10 minutes and I create for 10 minutes. And so you can actually see me creating. I don't speed up those videos. I talk right through my process as I'm creating. And if you want to check out, my latest video on that, you can do that by just leaving the word 10 and I will know that you want to get that video. I'll leave it up above here as well. So fun 10-minute exercises. I've done a couple of them so far. I'll send you my latest one, but check those out. If you go to my main page and you just scroll down, you'll see my small art videos and you'll find them there. Now, the 10-minute videos are fantastic because we're working small. We've got a timer going, so we're not overthinking the process. We're just plowing right through it and moving forward and trying to stay loose and stay free as we do that. And setting a timer does that for me because I don't have time to overthink it and I don't have time to tighten up the painting. So I hope you give that a try as well. Now I'm doing more filling in here. So obviously covering up a lot of what I had, which is okay. That's the whole point of me creating those layers before is so that some of them can peek through. I don't expect all of them to peek through. I'm stepping back because I'm trying to figure out if I even like this color that I put down, the reds. Now I'm coming in with some pinks. Did I mention I really struggled with this one? I did, but I kept moving. I kept going forward despite the fact that it was a bit of a struggle for me. And I find that, when I struggle through paintings, I learn more. I learn to trust myself. I learn to keep going, even though I'm not seeing the end yet. And really, with the style of painting that I do, I never see the end result in my head. I don't know what it is. Even though I've got that one taped up there, it's not going to be that. It's a guide. And so I just have to trust that I know what I'm doing and the painting will come together. Bringing in some lighter values there. White is the one color that I use the most in all of my paintings. I like to mix that in with whatever color I'm using. All right, so decided I don't like those reds. It just wasn't working with the piece. And now that color is too close to the other color that I already put down. So I'm going to come in and change up the other colors. So it's all about this dance going back and forth, trying to figure out, what's working, what isn't working, you know, when I put down one color, is that going to work with the other colors? And if it isn't, okay, then I'm going to change up one of those colors. And I think part of me really likes that part of the process. All right, so I'm coming in here on another day and I'm doing mark making again, like I did at the very beginning, not thinking about where it's going, just because I know I'm still like in the middle stages here. So I'm not worried about where these are going to land. And if I don't like where it is at the very end, I just use a regular eraser and I'll erase any marks that I feel aren't working when I'm at the very end. However, I am pretty sure that most of these get covered up. So here I'm using what I'm holding in my hand there to use as a palette is a canvas board covered in plastic. And I've got several of these when I'm working small, but I brought it over here because I wanted to use it. I don't have a lot of room on my table because, well, there's a lot of paints on my table, paint jars. and I really need to move them out, but every time I move them out, I tend to bring them all right back in. For whatever reason, that's just the way I do things. Sometimes I just have to go with the flow of how I create and find other solutions. So using these bowls is one way to do it. I've got a bunch of these plastic bowls, and I used my tabletop and the one on the canvas board. So coming in with different values and different tones, I guess we can say, because I'm adding some white to it. And just thinking about variety. A lot of my paintings, because I use very similar marks, I'm always looking at variety. So do I have large shapes? Do I have small shapes? Are those being balanced well? Do I have medium-sized shapes? Are some of them really thick, some of them really thin? I'm always entertained watching myself after I do all the work and then I videotape it. It's always interesting watching how they come together. So there you can see I am using my tabletop sometimes, depending on which colors I'm using. So coming in with an even lighter value, and mainly because that's what's in the inspiration piece. Dave really liked the lighter colors in that. Right there, I was just scratching into the wet paint so we can see some of the dry paint that was underneath coming through. I'm using Nova Color paints. If you've been following me, then you know how much I love them. And if you would like to learn about Betty's bundle, then just use oh, there's no link for this one. Hold on, just down below, just leave the word Nova or Nova Color, and I will send you a link to Betty's bundle, which is 15 of my go-to colors. A lot of them are right here on my table that I use pretty much every time I'm creating. And then I've got some others that I've added over the years. So question comes up often about Nova Color for folks who are outside of the US. Yes, they do ship worldwide. However, if it's going to Europe, there has to be a $200 minimum for them to be able to ship to Europe. So you want to keep that in mind. And then there's always the VAT and import taxes. I don't know what other taxes, but there's other taxes. So I know it can be pretty expensive. However, I've also known some folks like in Australia that have purchased it and it was expensive to ship it, but they said it was so worth it for them. They love the paints. So doing a lot of stepping back at this point and really looking at it from a distance. Now I'm taking out, I didn't like those marks. They were really bugging me. So let's just get rid of them. They were competing with the blue marks, which I want to be more more dominant in this painting, and the color just was still bothering me as well. Love that yellow. That's like a sunshine yellow there. I can tell that by my posture and my hesitation that I'm just not sure where to go. It's not done. I know that it's not done, but I'm just struggling with, this is what I mean by it. I'm struggling with, where do I go now? What else should I do? What can I add to it? I'm waiting for that area that I covered up to do something with that. Waiting for that paint to dry. All right, I'm coming in with some darker values for whatever reason. I felt I needed some up in that corner. Now I'm recording this, I'm doing the voiceover for this at the end of March 2024. I actually created this piece just before Christmas 2023. Oh, real quick, I want to send out a huge thank you for all these folks who have supported me in a monetary way. I so appreciate you. And if you want to help out, just click the three dots and then click on the thanks icon. Really means a lot to me when I'm supported in that way. Helps me create these videos. Some of these videos really take a long time for me to pull together. Like I was mentioning, the two 6 feet by 6 feet ones. It's going to take me a very long time to create a video of all of, for those two big pieces. So I appreciate your support. But other ways that you can support me is simply by hitting the bell. Whoops, let me go back, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the bell so that you're notified when I have new videos, and then give me a thumbs up as well, because those are all free things for you to do. And it means so much to me, and it really helps me a lot because it tells YouTube that people are liking my stuff, and then they'll start showing it to more artists who are looking for these videos. And then also comment. I'd love hearing from you. Questions, happy to answer your questions, and share it with a friend. If you've got an artsy friend out there that loves color and abstract art, it would mean a lot to me if you would share it with them. All right, so coming back into these blue marks, which were just driving me batty. I know that they needed to be larger, and I came back in and I was trying to now again make them a bit larger, and I didn't really like the slants that I had. I do like my art to not be like perfectly straight across or up and down. I do like them to have a little bit of a slant to them, but that those slants were just a little too much for me, so I was trying to even those out a bit. Level them out, I should say. There we go. See how I just leveled that out? This is the beauty of paint. We can just, if we're not happy with something, let it dry, or don't even let it completely dry, and just get in there and add another layer. There, I'm scratching into the wet paint. Oh, nope, I've got my paintbrush still. I thought I was scratching into it. And I do love to paint the sides of my canvas, so I'm always paying attention to make sure that I get that. I don't like waiting to the very end to notice then that I missed a spot, which if it's a small spot, not a big deal. I can just cover that up, but I hate it when I miss like a whole section and I've got to try to find a color that's really close to it. Finding a color that's close to what I did is hard because, as you can see, I rarely clean out my brush. I just keep adding more color to it. And so it creates a lot of unique colors that way. All right, so I'm liking it a bit more. We're well through halfway on this. So there is some more work to be done. I know it seems surprising because it feels like it's really coming to the end, but I wasn't feeling it, so I had to keep going. Now I'm trying to balance it with some larger elements over by adding that circle. I'm not sure that I end up keeping that. I do like the orange dots though. So that red I didn't feel was really working with the piece. I do like the orange a bit better. If you want, you can certainly slow down the video. Just keep in mind that my voice will slow down as well. But if you want to, see a bit more of what I'm doing here, you can certainly do that. I have a couple of online courses if you are interested in learning from me the way that I like to create. I've got my flagship course, which is Fields of Flowers, or I call it Fields of Flowers, but really we go through and we create art together. I give you ideas of how to look for your own inspiration to create artwork, and we do some exercises together. We've got a couple of bonus videos for you in it. And I love this course because it includes everything. I do not leave stuff out. I teach you everything I know about creating art. And so if you are interested in that, you can just leave the word down below, learn, and I'll send you a link to the flagship course. And then the other course I have is one that I did earlier this year. It's a concertina art journal. It's a course that I intentionally did short because I had folks telling me that they couldn't afford my other course. And so this shorter course is very affordable. It's $37. My full course is $97. And the short course is an hour and a half, and we create in a concertina, which is like an accordion art journal. And we'll create on one side of it together, and I'll show you, I'll walk through my steps, and it's kind of a shortened version of doing the full course. And I've got a lot of great feedback on it. People are loving that it's a short course, that they create something very quickly. It's a fun piece. And then I also share with you several different ways that you can display. If you don't want to have a concertina art journal, you can cut that up and show you several different things that you can do with it. So if you want information about that, just leave the word magic and I will send the link to that. Now, for both of these courses, because you are watching me on YouTube, I'm giving you a special code, which is, guess it, YouTube. So just leave the word, not leave the word, when you're in checkout, use the word YouTube to get 20% off. Either course, both courses, whatever you decide to do. I think you're going to have fun. And also, there is a Facebook group that is just fantastic. I love seeing what everybody is creating. It just, they inspire me. It's just amazes me how each person can bring their own individual self to their artwork. And I love seeing what they're creating. So if you love doing that, you're going to love this Facebook group. Now, typically, what I'm listening to here is a book or let's see, or a podcast. And honestly, I don't remember what I was listening to in December. I want to say it was a book, but now I'm not 100% sure. All right, stepping back there and calling it done for a few hours. I think I come in the next day. Yep. So I'm coming in the next day. Whoops, sorry. I'm trying to turn off the sound on my phone. I forgot to do that. I usually remember to do that before I get started here. Okay, so I've come back in and I am trying to find the right. So I realized that that blue was too dark. That's not the blue that he likes. He likes this kind of a lighter periwinkle blue. So I came back in, and then down here, I wanted to balance some marks on that side, on the right side, lower right, with those larger marks that are on the left side. But I don't want them to be the same color. So I'm going to come in here and I don't know if I'll do it now or later. I'll change out that color. And for whatever reason, I decided it needed more blues. And honestly, I don't remember why. And then on that side, I also just felt like there wasn't enough interesting marks happening. And that's why you see me adding some more. So the moral of the story is sometimes it's good to walk away, have a day away from it. I'm pretty sure I took a photo of it before I left so I can look at it on my phone. And that way I can make some decisions without being, a few inches away from it. It's really hard to see all of it when you're working this large, when you're constantly up close. So taking a photo really helps a lot. Sneaking up on it helps a lot too. Like if I walk away, sometimes I will have my back to it and then I will turn around and see where my eye goes first. And then I will tackle that area next. And then, I may do the same thing again where I'll just look away and then look at it and see where my eye goes. Because typically my eye will go to where I'm not happy with it, as opposed to where I'm happy with it, because it'll go to something that's bothering me. So here I'm coming in with, as you can tell, many more marks. I really felt like it was void of my typical mark making. Now, my other challenge is creating this piece to be a little bit different than the 6 foot by 6 foot pieces that I had already created, because they're going to be hanging across from each other, although one will be in a dining room, one will be in the entry. But if you're standing between the entry and the dining room, you will see both of them. If you turn around, you'll see one and then the other. Here I've got just paper and I'm picking up what I put down and then moving it somewhere else. Now, as you probably know, if you've been following me, I like my circles not to be floating on top. So the way I push those back is by using the whatever color is underneath it to obliterate part of those circles so that they're kind of pushed back a little bit. Changing out that green, although I did like that green. For whatever reason, I decided to change it. And coming back, and I will probably want to change it again. Sometimes when I create a color that I love, it's like I can't figure out how to recreate it. I don't know if you guys have that problem too, if you love mixing your colors and then trying to recreate it. And I do not write down my formulas. Again, that's because, okay, so here, instead of putting paint directly onto the canvas, I'm putting it on this paper, cardboard, and then putting it on. And that keeps it a bit more loose. And there I'm just putting bits and pieces of that color to add more interest. I know a little hard to see, but at the end here, I do have close-up videos, close-up pictures, and the video of close-ups of the entire piece. So you'll get to see some of that coming through. All right, so I put it on and then I decide, no, I don't really like it. So while it's still wet, I just took a little bit of it off. Here I'm just doing some splatters, another way to add dimension to your piece. So it's getting close to being done. Now I feel like it's really, pulling together a bit more. And that's what I mean by, you just got to keep going and trust that you're going to figure it out as you go. All right, so here I'm coming in with a darker blue, but leaving the edges with the lighter blue. It's kind of the opposite of the bigger pieces where they've got dark blue edges. I'm hesitating. I've got my rigger brush again, coming in with some more fine marks, smaller marks. Again, making sure that I've got variety in my piece all the way to the end because, when I used that rigger earlier, all those marks ended up getting covered up. All right, so we are back. I'm not sure if it's the same day. It might be, and I think I just moved the angle of the camera. All right, I've got plans here. I'm not sure. I might just be covering up some of the splatters that I did or just adding a bit more lighter values. It definitely looks different from this angle, right? Because the camera is not straight on, it looks larger now on this end than it does on the other. I will be varnishing this artwork at the very end, and I'm going to include a link up above here for you and down below as well under the video. I like to protect all of my artwork to ensure that it's going to keep its colors for many years to come. And so I go through a process where I protect my marks, and then I also use 2 layers, 2 coats of varnish. Okay, so what I'm doing here is, at this point, I sent a photo of the artwork to the client. And as soon as I sent it, because I put it in the room for him, as soon as I sent it, I was like, oh, no, 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 I know what I need to do. So it's amazing how when you take a photo, and this time I put it in the room where it was going to go, and I immediately saw that those elements, the blue ones that I'm drawing right now, they were just kind of not substantial enough for this piece. So I've come in and I've just made them a whole lot larger. And as soon as I did that, I was like, yep, that's what it needed. It was just, it just wasn't, I don't know how to explain this. It didn't have the strength and the power to work in this piece, if that makes sense. All right, more splatters. And if you can hear my computer now making noise, I apologize. I should have shut something else off. Got my sister messaging me. Okay, so, and now I'm coming in because I don't want them floating on top. I'm coming in and again using that same cardboard, just adding some color to it and putting some marks on there, but yet I know I'm erasing them back, but you can still see some of them. I just didn't want a lot of them. I just want a little bit showing. Again, it's that whole dance. We're going back and forth until it makes sense, until it works, until I'm in love with it. Okay, now we're coming down on the floor because I'm going to do some splatters down here, and I didn't want them dripping down the canvas, and so I put it on the floor so that I can just do some splatters that way. And I go back and forth several times because I just don't have the right consistency to get them to splatter. So here I've added some more water. Okay, now I think I got the right consistency. I'm just kind of flicking my brush, and I'm also, there's enough water on there that if I just hold it, it is dripping. So I've got some larger drips and some smaller drips happening. All right, and then I am cleaning it up just a little bit. Okay, so we'll let that dry. And say I brought in my heater right there so I can dry that. But I'm coming in and just cleaning it up a bit because some of them were really dark and I wanted them to be just a little bit more faint, a little bit lighter. But doing those blues in larger, making them larger, I think really transformed the painting. I just felt like it just came together once I did that. And then I immediately sent him another photo and said, I changed it and I love this so much better. And he agreed. He loved it too. Although he does always say, Betty, I trust you. You know what you're doing. I love it both ways, but I love this too. So I'm coming in with another layer just because I expanded it, and you can, if you're up close, you can see some of the previous layers. So I want to come in and make it a bit more solid. And then now I go through this exercise one more time. Okay, so a few more splatters. I'm doing a lot of tapping of my fingers. You can tell, look how dark it is outside. So I'm not doing this late into the evening. I think it's like probably after 5 o'clock or so. Now I come back in and I'm just darkening some of the circles. I show you at the end the artwork in the room. And I was just over there last week of this week. Wow, can't remember, a few days ago, and I got to see my artwork and just love seeing it. Okay, so this is dry, and I've got the heater on it because again, it is December and I wanted it to dry quickly. So back behind me, I've got the heater running. Coming in with my final mark making here. So it's a variety of using pencils and crayons just to add some final touches, the icing on the cake, so to speak. It's nothing that is going to be like, oh, wow, all of a sudden you see something that wasn't there before. It's subtle and you're going to notice most of it when you walk up close. And that's what I want to project in my artwork is that when you're looking at it from a distance, you are pulled in so that you want to come in and see it up close, and then you get that treat of seeing all this interesting stuff happening. So I learned a lot in this process again, all about trusting myself and believing in myself. There, I signed it with pencil. I am calling it done. And here are some close-up using the camera, the video camera. And then I've got some one image of the final piece. And I did slow it down so that you can see it in real time. Love those splatters, those blues there. Oh, see all the different layers happening there. I really love seeing it up close. Especially this corner here. Love this spot right here because there's just so many different colors happening. You can see some of my mark making with my pencils, more splatters there. And there's my signature. All right, and I do give you a quick tour of my studio. And there's my table where I do my smaller pieces. And here's my wall back here. This wall is where those are the two 6-foot by 6-foot pieces that are for Dave as well. So I ended up delivering all three of these at the same time. All right, so there's a photo of it. And then I'll show you me with the artwork. Very, very happy, of course, and delivering the artwork. I had already taken out the two 6-foot by 6-foot canvases and then delivering that one. And there it is in the room. Doesn't it look fantastic? All right, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. Check out some more videos, subscribe here, and I wish you a super fabulous and creative day. See you next time. Take care.